$23,417. That's what you owe me for creating the perfect husband you're about to marry," my future mother-in-law announced, sliding a leather-bound invoice across her pristine marble kitchen island with the same precision she used to serve poison disguised as compliments. The itemized bill included everything from Julian's private tennis lessons at age 7, $4,200, to his Mandarin tutoring at 15, $8,000. Each line meticulously calculated to remind me that I was marrying above my station. But what Victoria Harrington didn't realize was that her perfect son had been planning this exact moment for months. The prenuptial agreement tucked in my purse contained a single clause that would cost her everything she held dear, and she'd signed it herself without reading it. My name is Sienna Reeves, and I sat in the Harrington Estates designer kitchen, staring at what could only be described as a masterpiece of maternal narcissism. My fiancé Julian sat beside me, his knuckles white as he gripped his coffee mug. Across from us, his mother Victoria presided over the morning like a general preparing for war, her perfectly highlighted hair catching the morning sun streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. "Mother," Julian's voice was deadly quiet, "please tell me this is some kind of sick joke." "Joke?" Victoria's laugh tinkled like expensive crystal. "Darling, I don't joke about investments. I've spent 28 years and considerable resources crafting you into premium husband material. Now that Sienna is benefiting from my efforts, it's only reasonable she compensate me." I flipped through the invoice, each page more absurd than the last. Orthodontia, $7,500. Essential for a photogenic smile. Ballroom dancing, $3,200. Critical for social functions. Even his childhood therapy was listed, $15,000. Emotional intelligence development for future relationship success. "You're charging me for your son's therapy?" I asked, incredulous. "That therapy made him emotionally available enough to maintain a relationship with you," Victoria replied smoothly. "You're welcome, by the way. The boy's father left him with abandonment issues that could have made him commitment phobic. I fixed that. His father died in a car accident when Julian was 12, I said flatly. Precisely. And I ensure he processed that trauma constructively." She turned to another page. "Oh, and a Swiss boarding school, $140,000. That's where he learned the refinement that attracted you in the first place." Julian stood abruptly. "The boarding school you sent me to because you couldn't be bothered to raise me after Dad died." "Don't be dramatic, darling. It was the best education money could buy." Victoria's smile never wavered. "Speaking of which, page 18 details your college expenses. Harvard doesn't come cheap, but it certainly paid off, didn't it, Sienna? You are marrying a Harvard man after all." My phone buzzed. A text from my lawyer, Marcus Chen. 10 minutes out. "Whatever she's doing, document everything. Trust me on this." I'd asked Marcus to be on standby after Victoria's ominous invitation to discuss wedding finances. After 2 years of her passive-aggressive comments about my middle-class background, my public school education, and my career as a veterinarian, such messy work for a woman, I knew better than to meet with her unprepared. "This is extortion," Julian said, his architect's mind cutting through to the heart of it. "You can't bill someone for raising your own child." "I'm not billing you, sweetheart. I'm billing your fiancé. She's receiving a finished product, a man trained in 7 languages, skilled in 3 instruments, knowledgeable about wines, comfortable in any social situation. That kind of cultivation has a price." "I fell in love with Julian because he's kind and funny and builds incredible things," I protested. "Not because he can order wine in French." Victoria's perfectly shaped eyebrow arched. "How quaint. But kindness doesn't open doors in society. Connections do. Education does. The right accent does. All things I paid for." The doorbell rang. Victoria frowned. She despised anything that disrupted her carefully orchestrated productions. Julian practically sprinted to answer it, returning with Marcus Chen, my law school friend who now specialized in family law with a side of destroying narcissists. "Mrs. Harrington," Marcus said pleasantly, setting his briefcase down with deliberate firmness. "I understand you're attempting to establish a debt obligation for child-rearing expenses." Fascinating legal theory. Victoria's eyes narrowed. "This is a private family discussion." "No, this is an attempted fraud," Marcus corrected, pulling out his tablet. But before we address your creative billing practices, let's discuss the prenuptial agreement you co-signed 3 months ago. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Victoria went very still. What prenuptial agreement? Julian smiled for the first time that morning. The one you insisted on, Mother. Remember? You wanted to protect the Harrington assets from gold diggers. I remember the agreement, Victoria said slowly. Standard asset protection. I reviewed every clause. Did you? Marcus asked innocently, because page 47, subsection 12b might have escaped your attention. Julian, would you like to explain? Julian leaned back in his chair. When you demanded a prenup to protect your precious family money, you were so focused on keeping Sienna from touching the Harrington trusts that you didn't notice the clause I added. The one that states if you attempt any financial manipulation or interference in our marriage, your entire stake in the family trust, including the estate, the investment portfolio, and your annual income, transfers immediately to a charity of our choosing. Victoria's face went from composed to chalk white. That's impossible. I would have noticed. You had 3 cosmetic procedures that week, Julian reminded her. You signed it post-Botox, pre-facial, during your Valium phase. Quite a signature, actually. Very loopy. Marcus pulled up the document on his tablet. Your signature is right there, notarized and witnessed. Legal as they come. But that's everything, Victoria whispered. $47 million. 49 with recent gains, Marcus corrected cheerfully, plus the estate, valued at another $12 million. But let's circle back to this invoice, shall we? He pulled out another document. First, demanding payment for raising your child could constitute fraud. Second, I've cross-referenced these expenses with tax records. You claimed most of these as deductions, meaning you've already been compensated. That's definitely fraud. Third, billing someone for therapy necessitated by your own emotional neglect. That opens you up to counterclaims that would make your head spin. How dare you? I'm not finished, Marcus continued smoothly. This charge here, $2,000 for social integration training, which you describe as teaching Julian to, quote, associate with appropriate social circles despite unfortunate attachments. Given that this refers to his friendship with his scholarship roommate from a working-class background, we're venturing into discrimination territory. I found that section and read it. Victoria had literally tried to bill me for her attempts to make Julian snobby. And this, Marcus pointed to another line, $5,000 for dietary management. Your own notes indicate this was putting a 12-year-old on restrictive diets because you thought you looked puffy in family photos. That's child abuse, Mrs. Harrington. It was portion control. Victoria shrieked, her composure finally cracking. The Harrington men have slow metabolisms. You gave me an eating disorder, Julian said quietly. I was 12 and you had me counting calories. The kitchen fell silent except for the ticking of Victoria's obscenely expensive clock. So, Marcus said into the silence, you have 2 options. Option 1. Withdraw this absurd invoice, apologize to both Julian and Sienna, and maintain some role in your son's life while keeping your assets. Option 2. Pursue this claim and lose everything. Your money, your status, your son, and potentially your freedom when we file criminal charges. Victoria clutched the invoice to her chest. This isn't fair. I sacrificed everything for him. My figure, my career, my social life. You have 4 nannies, Julian interrupted. You saw me for scheduled dinners twice a week. Your biggest sacrifice was missing the Milan Fashion Week when I had pneumonia. I was building our legacy. You were building your image. Every lesson, every achievement, every polished edge. It was all so you could brag at the country club. Julian stood, taking my hand. But here's the thing, Mother. Despite your best efforts to turn me into a Harrington drone, I became a person. A person who fell in love with a veterinarian who saves animals and doesn't give a damn about which fork to use. She wore jeans to the Pemberton Gala, Victoria wailed, as if this were a crime against humanity. And she looked beautiful, Julian said firmly. More beautiful than all the designer dresses in that room, because she was real. Victoria turned to me, desperation replacing arrogance. You don't understand what you're taking from him. The connections, the opportunities. I'm taking nothing, I said. I'm giving him something you never could. Unconditional love. No invoice attached. Marcus cleared his throat. Mrs. Harrington, I need an answer. Do you withdraw the invoice? Victoria looked between all of us, her perfectly made-up face showing real emotion for possibly the first time I'd seen. If I apologize, I keep everything. Your money, yes. Your son. That's up to him. She stood slowly, a showing through her carefully maintained facade. The invoice crumpled in her manicured hands. I withdraw the invoice. And I apologize for attempting to monetize motherhood. Not good enough, Julian said. Apologize to Sienna, properly, for everything. The comments about her background, her career, her family. All of it. Victoria's jaw worked like she was chewing glass. I apologize, Sienna, for my unkind remarks about your background and profession. They were inappropriate. And, Julian prompted, and you'll be a suitable wife for my son. It was probably the best we get. As we prepared to leave, Victoria called out, the wedding. Am I still invited? Julian turned back. That depends. Can you attend without making snide comments about Sienna's dress choice, the venue, the flowers, or the fact that we're serving barbecue instead of foie gras? Barbecue? Victoria looked faint. My dad's recipe, I added. He owns a food truck. He'll be catering. Victoria swayed. Marcus steadied her with obvious amusement. I'll try, she managed. Then you can come, but one comment, one single in my day, or at a proper wedding. And security will escort you out. And Marcus will be there, prenup clause in hand. We left Victoria standing in her perfect kitchen, surrounded by her perfect things, finally understanding that perfection can't be invoiced. In the car, Julian turned to me. I'm sorry about her, about all of this. Don't be, I said. At least now we have our something borrowed for the wedding. What? I held up my phone, showing the photo I'd snapped of the invoice. Borrowed insanity. We'll frame it for our bathroom. Nothing like starting each day remembering that our love is worth exactly $0 and infinite everything else. Marcus laughed from the backseat. You two are perfect for each other. No invoice required. 6 months later, Victoria attended our wedding. She wore beige to a colorful summer celebration, winced at the food truck, and physically bit her tongue when my dad gave a toast in his work boots. But she stayed silent, and that was progress. The trust fund remains intact, though Victoria now knows we could claim it any time she oversteps. It's been remarkably effective at maintaining boundaries. Last week, she sent us a housewarming gift for our new home. A simple card that said, "Congratulations," with no passive-aggressive additions. Julian called it a miracle. I called it evidence that even the most persistent narcissists can learn when their fortune depends on it. And the invoice? We did frame it. It hangs in our guest bathroom, a reminder that the best things in life, love, laughter, and partners who choose you over their toxic families, are absolutely free. No payment plans required.